everybody's here. That's great.
Every mic is live on that table. You just got to speak into it.
All right, this is our Animal House panel. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Louis. You know these guys because you've all been sitting here waiting. So we'll start right to the next first question. How does it feel when people come up to you at an event like this and say, I really like this movie, I enjoyed your work in this movie, and I mean, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? I'll start with you because you're sitting right next to me.
What's the first thing that comes to my mind? Well, you know, I call this the film that won't stop celebrating itself. I think, you know, of any work I've ever done, of any film I've ever done, I've never sort of stayed closer to a cast, and I've never gathered back together in different incarnations. We've gone to various festivals together and just events where the film has been screened. So I tell you, I fall more and more and more in love with this film every time I see it. So I get a complete pleasure out of people coming up and saying how much they like the film. Because it feels really like a very close experience for me.
No, I'm grateful is the first sort of emotion that comes to me, because you guys who like it really like it. I mean, I believe it when you say it. I don't always believe me when I smile in the pictures, but I believe you guys, and that helps me. I mean, so I'm very grateful. And Karen's right. It's 40 years ago. We didn't think people would still be talking about it 40 years later, but people are. People are genuinely moved by it. They just, it's why we work. It's why we do this, I think, to move people.
Especially with comedy. Comedy is dead serious. It's the hardest, right? And the generations. That's what blows my mind is my kids, their kids. I mean, these are everybody. This movie never dies. It's just incredible because it's good. And we never believed John the whole time we were shooting inside it. When he was like, the studio loves the rushes. That's what they used to call dailies. And we're like, yeah, you always hear that. And then you never hear from the movie again. So who knew this was going to happen, right?
I'm just really proud of how many people I put through college.
And I must say, what I love about the movie so much is that how it does affect the audience, because it's about anarchy and it's also about breaking the rules, but it's also about a group of people that doesn't exclude anyone. You know, it's about inclusion, not exclusion, and I think that speaks for a lot of us. And I applaud you for your faith in the community.
They're a bunch of P.I.G. pigs. Wonderful people all the time, and all of you, and the joy that this movie keeps on giving. We had a person at one of our events tell us that their marriage stayed together because, and this is the day of VCRs, they kept the movie in the VCR. Every time they got in a fight, they would just hit Animal House, and they're still married because of us.
Yeah, well, it's true because it's a weird movie because it's rambunctious, it's anarchic. It's like a one-of-a-kind film, and actually, I think the Library of Congress recognizes they added it to the film registry, National Film Registry in 2001.
It represents America at its best, according to that.
Well, I'm not going to say anything about that.
Whenever George W. Bush ran against John Kerry for the presidency, both of them, independent of each other, at one time or another, said that Animal House was their favorite movie of all time.
And look how that worked out.
And I've always wondered what fraternity George Bush thought he was in.
He was an Omega.
One of the things I noticed while reading researching this was not only was it John Belushi's first movie, because he was coming off.
Oh, he actually had done going south before.
Did he?
Just a little part.
A little bit in it,
Yeah.
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 But I think he learned a lot from Jack Nicholson.
But as a supporting role. But it was the first film for a lot of the people that were in the first feature film. A lot of the people that were in this cast, yourself and Kevin Bacon, Tim Matheson, Tom Hulse.
Not Tim.
I've been in movies before. I've been in movies before.
No, oh sorry, that was my note. You were already a veteran and a young man. Not even Force, actually.
Yes, but this was my first comedy. I had never done a comedy like this before, and I must say that John Belushi was so supportive and so caring and giving. Peter Ruger and everybody that we worked with, we found the right tone, and they were very supportive for a fledgling comedian like myself.
So, a lot of you were new, well some of you were new to feature films, and so I was curious to learn that the director John Landis had brought some of you about a week or two earlier, prior to shooting, to hang out and get to know one another, and this sounded like it became a legendary moment or something? Like to feel the characters?
Well, they brought the Deltas to Eugene, Oregon, where we shot a week early, and they called it rehearsal, but John Landis, the director, he just wanted us to hang out together and spend time together, get to know and like each other, and which we did. And then I think Niedermeyer and the Omegas part came up. They came up and we just dissed them like terribly. You know? We wouldn't even talk to them, and I've been on a boat.
Yeah, when I got off the plane, I rode out there with Karen. So by the time I got there, I was totally in love. And she didn't know it, but look at her. But I went to the first thing you do is you go to the production office and you get your per diem, which is the money they give you to eat, just in case they change their mind. So at least you got some cash to get a bus out of town. And they said, John is in the roadhouse, in the coffee shop on the other side of the parking lot, and he wants to see you. He's over there with some of the guys. So go on over, leave your bags here, go on over and see him. So I walked across the parking lot, I walked in the door of the coffee shop, and I knew Peter from New York, I knew Bruce McGill from New York, and I knew John, but I didn't know anybody else. But I saw John in the corner waving his hand and saying, come on over. So I walked across this crowded coffee shop, and I got about 10 or 15 feet from the table, and John says, that's him, that's Niedermeyer, get him. They started throwing food at me. So I knew where I stood. Me against them.
Just to tell you the kind of actor Mark Metcalf is, you should talk to where your room was.
Oh, yeah.
Because Bruce McGill, who played D-Day, had his room was Party Central. He and I stole a stand-up piano, rolled it across the parking lot, put it in his room, and every night everybody would go to Bruce's room, which was right under Mark Metcalf's room.
Well, I had the hotel move my room, which was down the hall, to right above Bruce's, because I knew they would be loud, and I wouldn't be going to any of those parties because Niedermeyer doesn't do that kind of stuff. But I couldn't sleep because they were so loud, having so much fun. And so I would stay up and study my script and polish my boots. Getting into character.
And sleeping with his horse.
The closest relationship I had making that movie was with my horse. Dearly departed Junior.
Also the highest paid actor in the film, right? The horse? The horse was the highest paid.
Yeah, John always says the two highest paid creatures in the movie were Donald Sutherland and my horse.
That's funny because in an earlier panel I had this morning with Greece, there's a horse in Greece apparently, and somebody said that they got highest paid. So I wonder if there's something to do with that. Horses get more money.
They have a better union.
Okay.
To be fair about the horse was actually two horses. Junior was the gelding, who didn't really know he was a gelding. And he had a mare that was close to identical, that he had to be in his vision all the time when he worked. Junior, the gelding, would do all the close-ups, and Pinky, the mare, would do the heavy lifting. When I rode, I was riding Pinky. The rearing and everything like that is Junior. But, so the horse is getting paid. You know, paying the horse and it's double.
Double pay. So I also learned that Richard, I didn't know this originally, Richard Lester and Bob Rathbone were also considered to direct this film before Landis actually had. That would have been an entirely different movie.
John Landis talked about that, and Sean Daniels, who was the studio executive, talked about who the studio tried to foist on the producers to direct the movie, and they fought long and hard to get John Landis, who was just an outrageous, he'd just done Kentucky Fried Movie, and he'd done these sketch movies, and he was very funny and very, great comedic director. But the studio hated this movie, didn't want anything to do with this movie, didn't give us any money, wouldn't let us print more than one take per scene, per shot, because we had a TV crew that they threw together and sent up from Universal up to Eugene, Oregon to shoot the movie, and John Landis, I think, had kept this spirit of this movie alive while we were shooting up there, I think.
Are any of you aware that the rough cut delivered to Universal was like nearly 3 hours long?
I know that the first script they wrote was like 140 pages.
Yet, apparently a 175-minute version is 2 hours and 55 minutes ahead, something like that.
I spent a lot of time, I was producing a movie by that time and I didn't know what I was doing, so I spent a lot of time with John in the editing room trying to learn. And he told me that one of the things he did was put a lot of extra stuff in that he knew the studio would jump on, and then, but they would jump, and so he could give them like three things. All right, I'll cut it. But he would get to keep the fourth thing. So he would, so to cover his ass, he made it longer than it needed to be so that he could make them
Seemed like he was.
Yeah.
Seemed like they were winning.
Yeah, to give them the feeling like they were the bosses and he was cutting for them, but he was really keeping the good stuff.
After they had the movie screened, I think it was in Denver, and the first screening for a live audience, and it went really well. The studio still hated it, but then they said, "Oh, well, you have to cut the Roadhouse sequence. You have to cut that. It's racist. It's just blatantly racist." And so what Sean Daniels and John Landis did was they got Richard Pryor, a famous black comedian, to look at the movie and let him weigh in whether he thought this was racist and they should cut it. Richard Pryor looked at the movie and he screamed with laughter and he said, "White people are crazy. This is funny."
So, slightly off topic, some of you guys are Academy Award-winning nominees and award-winning directors now since the years have passed, since Animal House. Peter Rieger, you were nominated for directing Best Live Action Short Film.
Yeah, I did a short film based on an O. Henry short story called By Courier. And out of dumb luck, I got nominated, so I went to the Academy Awards. And here's something interesting. You know all those red carpets and all those famous people walking down? Well, I thought I was going to walk down the red carpet and tell everybody how wonderful I was. But I directed a short. So it was like suddenly I was a short person.
What color is a short person's car?
But it was fascinating. All those beautiful actors and actresses. That's the night I can't believe how gorgeous these people were. So I was happy not to walk down through there. I felt like a schlemiel, but anyway.
And Karen, you've done a short film. Well, you've done other directing work. It actually won Best International Short Manchester Film Festival.
Yeah, yeah. No, we won quite a few awards. It's a Carson Colors short story called A Tree, a Rock, a Cloud. And actually this last year, I've been traveling all over the world with it to show it at various film festivals. It's a beautiful, little, wonderful film. Yeah, I don't know if you know her writing. She wrote The Heart is a Lonely Hunter and Remember the Wedding and some wonderful, wonderful novels. And this is one of her short stories.
Yeah, the reason why I'm mentioning this is like, life post Animal House for these people who've been very busy and they're working, lots of projects. Mr. Mattson, been on the West Wing, recurring character. Yeah. Amongst a lot of other things. To be or not to be a personal favorite by the Mel Brooks movie. Oh, yeah. Oh, great. And Mark got famous for Twisted Sister.
Yeah. What do you want to do with your life? He's right out there, right out there.
I guess people are coming here to see you because they know you were here, then they're all here, and it's like Animal House, and you get to meet every one of you that are here and tell each of you how much they enjoyed you in the film and the movie. But I guess it's also nice too when you get those people once in a while actually know other things about you. And I guess that's kind of nice. So here's where I'm going to take questions from the people. From the audience. Anyone have questions? You? Okay. Sorry.
Shout it out. Try something today.
Tim, when you mentioned that you were filming in Eugene, Oregon, weren't you really filming on the Oregon Duck campus?
Yes, we were on the Oregon Duck campus.
I learned that years later, but the night I first saw the great performances of all of you, I was very close to a campus that I was attending. That was the fellow Pac-10 at the time school. So my question really is, what were the considerations, if you know, that the decision to film on that campus as opposed to Princeton University?
It really was very simple because they were the only campus that would let this film happen. Because every other campus that we applied to, they said, no, you can't do this on our campus, no. But the dean of the university had turned down another film that turned out to be quite successful called The Graduate. And so he felt so stupid about doing that, he said, I'm going to say yes to these guys. So he let us. It was the only one. And I must say that those students, when John Belushi would come on campus, they just went nuts. It was the only hint that we had, I think, or that I ever noticed, that this might just work, because John was a phenomenon. And because of Saturday Night Live, but also because he was one of the most exceptional and talented comedians and actors that I think most of us have ever worked with.
Thank you. I have a quick, it's really a request, not a question. In all of our lifetimes to go, we would all hope, I'm speaking for people I don't even know, that you would do a sequel. I can see the lights on Broadway now. Look where they are now. Animal House, the sequel.
Well, we have all kind of talked, like when we've gotten together and stuff, about doing a sequel, and we wanted to call it Animal Home.
Well, then walk
And all would end up like in a kind of assisted living place together.
But you would all see that, right?
Hi, I love you all, and I have to tell you something really funny. So, my husband and I are only married 5 years, but we had something really in common when we met, and that was we were both big fans of Animal House. We could quote every line from the movie, and I would ask each of you to quote your favorite line, but but I would ask Brunella to please step, Brunella at the desk, please give me a line. And if anyone else wants to give a quote, go ahead.
Well, of course, most of my lines were just words or two words, like primitive culture. Even though it was silent there, you know, you have to fake be loud, and then of course, ew. Now every time I hear anybody say ew, I'm sure it came from Animal House.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, in the corner.
Any of the scenes that were taken out from the final cut?
I know, go ahead.
I went on the parade, at the end of the parade. You don't know when Babs ends up with no dress on, quite exactly how that dress came off. Mandy and I got in a big cat fight over Grady, if you recall, that Grady, you know, was his and hers and mine. And then she pulled my dress off in the middle of the cat fight, but it was snowing when we shot it. And so when they went in for close-ups, we had snowflakes melting on our face. They needed to cut something, and that went out. So there's Babs in a row all of a sudden.
There was, I think this was cut from the script. It was a scene called The Night of the Seven Fires. And what we did was we took all the pledges and got them completely drunk and set 7 fires throughout the campus. And they would have to go and either throw up or piss out the fire. And make it back to the fraternity. Say, no, John, eventually Landis said, we're not going to shoot this scene. You're not going to be pissing in the movie for like an hour. Anyway, I would like
Jim says, we only did what we were only allowed to do one take because the money was tight. So the script was really tight when we got there. When I got there, Doug Kenny had told me that there had been a scene that he wanted in it where Niedermeyer was playing with toy soldiers, and which I really wanted to see. Fighting the Battle of Shiloh. But they never shot it.
Yes, sir.
John Hughes, if that was the script I'm thinking of, John Hughes actually wrote a sequel to Animal House. And I think they all the hope for any kind of sequel back then, really when we lost John Belushi, he was sort of the heart of that story in that movie. So without him, it would just be this big empty space, and there's not really anyone that could replace him. So I think it's better left undone.
There was talk of doing a Broadway musical of Animal House. Our producer, Matty Simmons, one of our producers, said he was going to do that, and then Meatloaf, I think, was approached to play the Belushi role, but nobody wanted to follow in his shoes. Nobody wanted to take on that role. So there was the musical.
Yes, sir.
Mark, off screen, did you find Stephen first to be kind of nerdy?
Did I find him to be nerdy?
Yeah, off screen, was he kind of like a nerd?
Well, I've spent 40 years with Stephen. When I was shooting the movie, he was a perfect foil. Because he was so pathetic. I was able to find him pathetic. But, and when I'm working anyway, I have a hard time getting myself out of the head of my character. I try not to, because it saves a lot of time in the morning. But as I got to know Stephen through this whole process of being the movie that never stopped celebrating itself, he was one of the sweetest, most genuine men that I think I've known. And funny at the same time. And the name of his company, produced and directed a lot of movies too, was Curmudgeon, which always seemed like that's not right, but I'm sure he was at times when to employees. I'm glad I wasn't employed with him.
Yes, gentleman in the green shirt.
I had a question for Karen Allen. there was, when I was around 18, 19, I saw this movie called The Wanderers.
Yeah.
And Ken Wall, was he playing strip poker with you?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I was, okay.
Yeah, it's Ken Wall and myself and Tony Kalam and John Friedrich. Yeah.
Right, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
How's the guy in the green shirt?
Hi, let me know if you can hear me. First of all, looking at all of you makes me feel young again. Richard Dreyfuss is here because Mr. Matheson and Mr. Rieger, I've seen your resumes. You're on the same level with him, only he has the Academy Awards. I have been in love with Martha Smith ever since the end of Animal House. She did a wonderful job in Scarecrow and Mrs. King. And once in a while on the Game Show Network or Buzzer Network, you'll see her pop up a password, super password with her comment. You're an excellent pick. It's wonderful to see you. I've always had a little pain in my heart watching you in Animal House. And to make that, what can I say? Except that I want to remember John Belushi, Stephen First, who was founder, and the guy really who was the catalyst for the movie, John Vernon, who played Dean Wormer.
I'll take one more, that's hard to top. Yes.
Just always curious about the TV series that came out, Delta House. Have you approached about it, or did they?
Yeah, I think, I think you know, right? Yeah, I think everybody was, and I just was an arrogant New York actor saying I'm just going to be a movie star for the rest of my life. But it was, it was logical for them to do something like that. But I can't really remember why I said no, but that's how these things go. You say yes to things and no to things, and if you're lucky, more of the yeses work out than the no's.
I think they asked all the cast, and I remember being asked, but I was doing something else, I was doing some other movies actually. And so, but I also don't think that, lightning doesn't strike twice like that, and I don't think all the writers were on it, and I think that, it just didn't have that same chemistry and anarchy, and television won't let you do what we did,
But Netflix will.
Today you can do it maybe on cable or Netflix, but not on ABC back then. And every network had a rip-off of Animal House on their schedule, and Delta House was yet another one of them, I think.
And unfortunately, that wraps up our Animal House.
Thank you all.